Okay, by now you are fully aware that I have to make this a two-part clip. I ran out of storage. I just have so much footage. It's unreal. Either way, let's continue. Anyway, back to where we were. So you can see this guy protruding from the clouds, the smaller, well, he's actually the medium-sized guy. And then the big one kind of slowly floating through the sky. But that one, I think that might be actually two of them there. Right above that box, right where my cursor is, right there. Go to the next video. Okay. Alright, so the big one, still floating across the sky. We've got the creeper guy up top, right below the trees. And if I play this, I mean, you'll see all kinds of little smaller vessels, smaller drones I call do-bots, flying through the sky, taking care of business. Alright, so anyway, back to what I was saying. We live in an electrical universe. These vessels are able to utilize the electrical charge, the static charge in the sky, in our atmosphere, in order to do different things. Now, certain vessels can do certain things that other vessels can't. And from what I can tell, the medium-sized vessels, like that one right there, and possibly that one too, but it's just kind of creeping. The medium-sized ones are able to obtain, and they're like capacitors, supercapacitors. They can store up a charge and release it or convey it to other vehicles, other vessels. Okay, so that medium-sized vessel is actually going to be helping the bigger vessel with this electric current, this electric charge, which keeps turning off my camera. That's why I have so many different clips of this same one. Usually I could just keep playing and watch the whole thing, but I've got like multiple clips of the same thing because there's electrical currents, electrical charges being emitted by what these things are doing that throws off my camera and makes me have to restart multiple times, before, this recording. So either way, let's get to what I was getting at. So you can see that guy coming and protruding through the clouds. We're going to go to the next video that I recorded of this certain of these events for this one. Alright, now what's going on here, you will see what would appear to be static charges being built up around the medium-sized vessel. What it's doing is harnessing electricity from the sky so that it can relay it to the larger vessel so that it can actually travel. Now what it's going to do is actually, it could be time traveling, it could be, these vessels can bend time and space to travel, our solar system, our galaxy, our timelines. Time and space is just a fabric. They can literally fold it from corner to corner. They can manipulate it, travel to whatever timeline they want, whatever point in space that they desire, and the fabric will literally close up right behind them. But like I said, some vessels can do things that others can't. So the bigger vessel, with more than likely more entities on it, needs the assistance of the middle one. The middle one needs the assistance of the smaller ones in order to cloak, in order to, obviously not be seen. Okay, let's get to it. Alright, let me explain what's going on here. you will see many electrical or static looking charges coming from where the middle one was. See if you can see on this one. And I can always tell when there's something devious going on, basically, in the sky, because it will just, you'll see this block format, like pixelated, all around this bigger vessel. And you'll see, and you can see these what appear to be bugs, like that right there, that's just a mosquito. But it's weird because sometimes, I mean, it's very confusing because, think about this, like, there's no way that these little tiny things flying around that you'll see in some places flying into the clouds and through the clouds, they're actually cloaking the bigger vessels, flying through the clouds. Like, there's no way that my little camera and my little lights are going to see what would be the equivalent of like a bug. So there's no way that these are all just like bugs. Some of them are rods. They're doing their job. They're flying around cloaking the bigger ones and helping with, whatever. So think about it this way. There's no way that my little camera and my little infrared light is going to be able to see a mosquito, hundreds of feet away up in the clouds. It's just not even possible by any means. So these smaller ones can be, are seen with my camera, and it's definitely not bugs, because there's just no way that my camera would pick up a bug that's flying through, the sky and flying up through the clouds and stuff like that. So let me try to get to it. I'm getting sidetracked trying to explain this. Alright, so as you'll see this bigger craft floating more and more to the right, it actually gets more and more cloaked by the clouds. Now, that material would be either strontium or barium, so it's probably, or something. It wouldn't be barium, because barium rusts, and it's more of like a rust colored in the sky, but we don't see that right now. So it's some other metallic that's sprayed around these vessels, some other metal that's sprayed around these vessels so that they can easily capture the electricity or the current or the crap. Let me pause that. Okay, back to it. These metal fragments can be sprayed in the sky and around the vessels, and it would appear to be, like cloud-like material, but at the same time, they're able to use those metal fragments to create and harness the charge of the atmosphere. Everything is basically electricity. Everything is a current. Alright, so you'll see, so the bigger vessel, it's starting to get cloaked more and more. It looks like it would appear to, and to the point where it's almost not even visible anymore because of these smaller things that appear to be bugs but aren't. There's sometimes there's a bug that flies in front of the screen that's obviously a bug, but there's these other things that are flying around, definitely not bugs. See, that's a bug right there. But these other things that are flying through the clouds, no way that's a bug. I mean, obviously, you don't just see bugs, little tiny bugs flying through clouds from, hundreds of feet away. It's just not even possible. Now, if we look closely, we'll see electrical charges and arcs all around the smaller or the medium vessel, and it'll start to be more apparent around the bigger vessel. Alright, let's play that. And it's difficult to see, but you can see it. See these electrical currents and charges and flashes of light around these two vessels, and these smaller dobots flying around doing their job. But you'll see little arcs everywhere, like static electricity on a shirt. So what it's doing is collectively between the medium-sized and the larger vessel building up a charge so that this larger vessel can travel. Sounds crazy, but there's, I've seen this stuff in action. This is what's going on. They cloak themselves, and they're able to use these particles that they spray, in the atmosphere around them to collect that charge. And the medium size one is like a capacitor. You can see these little arcs everywhere. It's still happening. Now, after they get totally covered in this cloud, material, which is just metallic stuff they've sprayed in the sky, they do the same thing with weather manipulation. They do it with iodized silver in the sky to make it rain and shit like that. It's all electricity, it's whatever, blah, blah, blah. But you can still see these little arcs everywhere. Only around everywhere where I explain those vessels to be. Alright. Now, as you can see, the big ship is getting kind of smaller and smaller. But you can continue to see these arcs everywhere. And weird kind of flashes and movements in the so-called clouds. To the point where almost everything's, you wouldn't be able to tell there's anything going on there. Now, after a while, this whole time I'm having to keep starting my camera and making it. I had to do like 20 clips of this. So you can see the Dewbots just kind of flying around doing their job. I had to do this like 20 times just to get this whole process. And I know this is taking forever to explain, but I have to be able to explain it in order for you to totally comprehend what's going on here. So you can kind of see the medium-sized vessel on the right there. And partially see the bigger one. It's getting more and more cloaked, and you could just obviously see the effects all around these little Dewbots flying around, and the electricity and the charge being built up. And this was a long process. And like I said, there's no way that these are just bugs flying around in through the clouds and stuff like that. You wouldn't see a small bug hundreds of feet up in the sky going through the clouds. It's not possible. Especially for my little camera and my little infrared lights. So it gets more and more clouded up. Okay, let's go back. This is actually next, but I have to go back because the way it saved them, and it just gets more and more fogged up by these clouds. And there's actually a point where pretty cool. There's actually a point where there's like a flash and like a ball of light that my camera picks up. That's when the bigger vessel is able to transport. And I'm not sure exactly what video that happened on, but everything is real close to happening. I think it already happened. Try to see if there's another one. Nope, it hasn't gone yet. Where are you at? This one? Comes on. See, now, like, they're pretty much gone. I think it's, oh, see right there. Like, I get interferences right there. And I believe that's the point where they disappear. Where's it at? I think the middle-sized vessel actually stays, though. I just helped it, helped the bigger vessel transport. And the screen actually like dims and gets dark. Like it has a lot of interference with my camera. Just bugs right there, close to the camera, because the mosquitoes are attracted to the infrared light. anyway, you get a, after talking you through that, you can clearly see that, this all just kind of fades away, and this legit is what's happening. I mean, you saw that middle crap. Yep, see, that was the last one. So it's got to be on that one. You can see that it just kind of fades away. Right there, you see that? Right there, that ball of light. And I have all the interference, and then like it's Gonzo. And then you can kind of see the middle size vessel there a little bit, but that big one is just gone. That interference right there with my camera and that weird light, that was the end of that. That was that bigger vessel transporting. Now it sounds crazy, but this is science basically. We have the technology. See, there's right there, gone, Dunzo. That's cool stuff. Anyway, I hope that you think this is as cool as I think it is, and hopefully I didn't bore the crap out of you. But that was a little timeline of how things happen in our sky that we are just totally unaware of, for the most part. You see, it started with this big vessel and this medium-sized one that you could see protruding from the clouds. That's only a portion of it right there. They're able to cloak, invisible, and also there's points in time where they have to use a cloud layer, like I said, for the energy buildup, and because they can't always be cloaked, so they have to have like a cloud layer buildup so that they can do their thing, because they've got other processes they need to do. They can always be cloaked, wasting energy on the cloaking mechanisms. So it looks like you can see like that's protruding there, and you can just totally see the outline. Come on. Totally see the outline of this triangle. Cool stuff. Like I said, hopefully I didn't bore you too much. This is a 2-part deal. A lot of technical difficulties. They don't make it easy on me, that's for sure. But with all of that electrical interference, my camera actually keeps restarting. I have to start another video. But you get this a gist of like how all that happens and stuff like that. I think it's fascinating and cool as shit. So either way, that's that. If you think it's cool, give me a thumbs up. If you think it's stupid as shit and there ain't nothing going on here, don't give me a thumbs down. I'm just kidding. I don't care what you do. But either way, subscribe, comment, like, give me a comment. Tell me what you think. Fact, camp out.